Hey, this is Charlie Thompson, and I wanted to make a quick video to go over the relationships between everything we've covered so far, bringing us up to rain. So in chapter 1, we started talking about the sun and patterns of temperature and energy from the sun. And then in chapter 2, we looked at really in-depth patterns of temperature, average temperature patterns. The tropics are hot, the poles are cold, and then patterns of temperature range, where the equatorial and tropical regions have low temperature ranges, high latitudes and inland areas have really high temperature ranges. And so those shift over the year, and those shifting temperature patterns result in shifting patterns of air pressure, and those shifting patterns of air pressure create belts of wind that seasonally change, and they also create patterns of rainfall that change during the seasons. So right now, starting in winter, we've got the Aleutian Low developing through the Aleutian Islands. We have the subtropical high, or in this case, the Hawaiian high has shifted south. So the air is spilling out, rotating clockwise. The air is flowing into here counterclockwise. So the air, well, the westerlies, right? Since the air is coming out rotating clockwise, the air is going in rotating clockwise. The storms track into California, and we get rain in the wintertime. Over here, the other area of interest is the Asian monsoon. This is the winter pattern. It's cold in Siberia, which you should remember from the last chapter, because we talked about that Siberia has the highest temperature range because it's the farthest north and it's the farthest inland. Remember, the westerlies are coming from over here, so by the time the air gets to the middle of the continent, it is incredibly hot in the summer and incredibly cold in the winter. So we have air flowing offshore, sinking, flowing offshore. So in the winter in southern Asia, it's dry. It's not the wet season. It's although it's winter, it's the dry season. So as the subsolar point shifts north, we come through the equinox. We come into June. You can see the Hawaiian high gets huge and beefy. Same thing with the Azores or Bermuda high. So you can see air spilling out is going to rotate clockwise. The oceans rotate clockwise. The air spills out, rotates clockwise. The oceans in the northern hemisphere rotate clockwise. Same thing, except the opposite, because the air is spilling out going counterclockwise. So you've got counterclockwise rotation. So where I'm going with this. Summertime in California, the Hawaiian high blocks the storms. They bounce into it and go parallel to these isobars. They get deflected up into British Columbia and Seattle, for example. So they get lots of rain in the summer. We don't. On the East Coast, they're getting rain in the summer because they've got a warm current, but the amount of rain they're getting is nothing compared to parts of India and Bangladesh. The ITCZ shifts inland. There's high pressure over the Tropic of Capricorn, so the air is being pushed over this incredibly warm ocean where lots of water evaporates. And then that warm, moist air gets lifted up by running into the land and then the foothills of the Himalayas. So summertime is the wet season for the monsoonal climates. And then in the wintertime, everybody shifts south with the subsolar point, and we go back into the dry pattern in Asia, and we end up back in the wet pattern here on the west coast of North America. So that's it. Good luck.